It's Zillow because you haven't given me a number yet.
Right. Exactly.
Anyway, so he poses hypothetical where effectively, okay, let's say market rent growth just stops completely. It's dead even, zeros, right?
Okay.
Even then, it would take another 2 years of flat readings, no growth, 2 more years to drag down the entire shelter index to a normal 2%.
Yeah. That's why Raphael Bostic said it's going to be a bumpy road, because that's not going to happen.
Not going to happen. So, bottom line, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Without question, you can infer something from this about what the Fed is going to do. But I want to finish this one paragraph first.
Please do.
That picture is all part of why economists remain optimistic that the lags will be overcome eventually. Jay Libick, National Director of Multifamily Analytics at CoStar, who I actually met, said it typically takes market rent about 3/4 of the year to filter into government statistics. That timeline may be getting stretched out given how bizarrely the economy has been performing and how off models have been as a result, but hopes that we haven't been dashed yet.
I don't like that they could just say, our models were off.
That way, CPI looks at housing in general, Libick says, just doesn't seem to match reality.
Right.
So here is what you can infer unequivocally from what we just read to you, which, as far as I'm concerned, is a very clear, thoughtful, delineated, reasonable approach to why the BLS's data for this particular piece, shelter, is off.
Okay.
Delayed by at least 6 months, or in this case, 3/4 of a year before it's captured.
Right. And 6 months is a long time, especially with the type of economy. That could be the difference of a quote-unquote soft landing or a hard landing into a depression.
Yeah. So shelter component needs to drop down. It can't be flat, because if flat, it would take 2 years to hit to that Fed target number.
Right.
It needs to drop down considerably. You've already seen it drop down 5%.
Yep.
Not enough.
Nope.
To get the 2% target number. You can take this and say the Fed will never hit their 2% target before they need to cut rates. That is not going to be the impetus for them cutting rates.
Right.
And it shouldn't be. Because the fact of the matter is, it is a momentum game. It's as inflation cuts and continues to move down, that continued direction down, they cannot just pull the ripcord and stop it from moving down and say, okay, we're growing at a healthy 2 to 3% inflation. Everything's gravy. We're Gucci. Let's go. It's going to have to be rate cut, see how much it slowed, rate cut, see how much it slowed, rate cut, see how much it slowed, and when it starts to balance out, it's going to be a prolonged period of figuring that out.
Right.
During that period of figuring it out after rate cuts have started, if they're lucky, they will hit this target number.
Yeah.
If they're not lucky, and I really mean lucky, you hit a recessionary economy.
Big time. Yeah. And we don't say that lightly.
I say it lightly. It's fuck boy.
Your boy Jamie Dimon back out here again saying, yo, I know Wall Street's out here pimping out soft landings. I'm telling you guys right now, better likelihood of it being a hard landing.
You know how much like the rhetoric is spun back and forth. If you're just like a casual economy like person, like you dip your toe in, you read a little bit, dip your toe back out.
Right.
Go talk about archaeology for a while, come back.
Yeah. You love that archaeology.
I love the archaeology, man. Every night.
My wife and I just, I'm outing myself right now.
You started watching Loki?
We haven't started watching Loki, but you're about to be happy. We're watching your boy Graham Hancock.
Graham Hancock, so good.
Yeah.
The series?
Yeah, the series.
It's a great series. It's a fantastic series. And Joe Rogan does a guest appearance in that one.
Oh, he does?
Yeah, the one he goes to, I think, Peru.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Joe Rogan pops up. He's like there in person, on site.
I ain't gonna lie, it's so cool, man.
Yeah,
it's
cool.
I
told you to watch that series, didn't I?
I think you did.
Yeah.
And coincidentally, whether the algorithm picked it up or my phone was listening to me and it started really advertising it to me, so I just decided to check it out. Guaranteed lock that these civilizations before us, they were there and they got wiped out.
Well, since that show to now, they use that LiDAR technology to find an even larger, like 10,000 year older big civilization in the Amazon, far surpassing anything that we've ever knew existed there, including streets, sewers, entire city infrastructures, roads.
Right.
I mean, they have found so much since that time. Plus,
and how is this not hitting national news, man?
Because Graham Hancock is very much pushed up against the establishment. Traditional archaeologists really try to push him out. They try to label him like a crazy person.
But what has he gotten wrong? So I mean, he's had to have gotten something wrong.
Well, the problem is you wind up having a lot of people in the archaeology world. It's decision by consensus. And whenever you're making decision by groupthink, it's really hard to move the needle unless you get enough people to swing to your side.
Because you're rewriting all the history books.
And you're basically saying these people that you trusted for a long period of time to tell you how things happened did not, in fact, know how things happened.
Yeah.
And therein lies.
But what's so wrong with saying like, we don't know how it happened, but look, there's evidence is clear. Look, there's been botanists that have come out and said that it would only take 1,000 years for agriculture to take over and make it look like we've never been here.
Yeah.
Only 1,000 years. That's not a long time, dude.
And some of these civilizations were tens of thousands of years old.
Right.
And, I mean, you've got another Stonehenge under Lake Michigan with carvings of mastodons in it. You've got a new monolith structure that was just discovered off the coast of, I want to say it was Germany, where it's massive, and it basically was used for a hunting tunnel. They believe Stonehenge may have been used for that purpose too, right? Where you drive animals into it because there's a long road up to it.
Right.
So many of the things that we think we knew about civilizations, they believe they found what is tantamount to the lost city of Atlantis off the coast of Australia.
Right.
But it's so far out in the middle of nowhere, but it once was a landmass that likely sunk, hence leaving the highest part there, Australia. There's so many things that are happening at such a frequent cadence, but it's not sensational, and people generally don't care. So you just, unless it's in your news feed and it's in your algorithm, you're not going to hear about it, dude.
But so given where we're going now and everything that we're talking about with AI and the digital world that we're living in now, doesn't it freak you out a little bit? Like, man, if that got wiped out, like there's no record of anything.
Well, I mean, I think about it in the context of like, look at I used to be really into the solar system and planets and everything else. And then as that started to evolve so fast, I almost lost interest because it became so difficult to comprehend the mass of it all.
Yeah.
When I grew up, there were 9 planets.
Right.
Pluto's not even a planet anymore.
Right.
But they've found hundreds of planets since that time.
Oh, yeah.
And the solar system is expanding in such a way that it's insane, but we're not close enough to have this tactile nature. And at some point, the light bulb went on for me. I'm so fascinated with like outer space and aliens and all this other stuff, but there's entire parts of this world here that we fully do not still understand.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, I took an astronomy course in college that I'll never forget. This one example that the professor gave. It was in one of those big like auditorium classes, and what he did is he showed a picture of the Earth from outer space, and then he zoomed out to like a bigger planet, and then to the sun ultimately, and then the next biggest star, and it kept zooming out so far out that you could no longer even see the Earth. And he went to the screen and he took like a pen, and he's like, if I were to open this pen and I just made a dot on the screen right now, Earth would be smaller than that. Yeah. And I remember thinking, holy cow, man.
There's a great computer generated imagery on how far it takes and how long it takes to get to planets and how far distant galaxies are and things that we've been able to see. It's incredible. Space is such a vast thing that it's difficult as a human to comprehend. And then you start thinking about the context of time. When you're young in your 20s, you feel like you never think about mortality.
Right.
When you're in your 30s, you start to think about it in the context of people around you. You know people that have passed away. Hopefully, that's all it is. In your 40s, you go, fuck, I might be at the halfway point.
If I'm lucky.
Yeah. If you're lucky, right? Average lifespan is like 70-something?
79, 80, I think.
Yeah. Anyway, whatever. And then you can start thinking about, okay, wait a minute. Then your parents get older and you start seeing them have health issues, and dementia in some cases is becoming very prevalent now, and all these things that are out there.
Yeah, man.
And you start to think about how small our life is in the scope of what took millions of years. Dinosaurs and cultures and things that were here before us. Look around. You don't see evidence of fucking dinosaurs anywhere. Yeah. Look around. You don't see any. I mean, this was Indian tribe territory.
Right.
You don't see any evidence of Indian tribes here.
Exactly.
That's how quickly you could fucking vanish off the face of this earth.
Yeah.
Not just you and me, humanity.
Yeah.
And I mean, I know it's morbid, but that's still going to happen much faster than inflation falling, unfortunately.
Way to bring it back, dude.
Yeah. The next article is...
And meanwhile, we're over here talking about inflation, the Kobisi letter.
Yeah, the next article I think is a really powerful one. Pending home sales are officially back below 2008 levels, according to the Kobisi letter.
What does that mean? pending home sales are officially back low.
Okay, well, to put it colloquially, it means that there's either such low confidence or low inventory or such high rates and an affordability issue, whatever the Molotov cocktail of messed up shit is that you believe in is happening, is so bad that leading up to 2007 is when the Great Recession really kicked off. And then it was really hard to get a mortgage. The whole market was kind of crashing down. There's lots of foreclosures. You're seeing less activity now than the second largest recessionary event in modern human history.
Yeah.
And we're not in a recession according to the markets.
Let that sink in.
Let that marinate. January pending home sales fell 6.9% year over year and stand right above a record low. And the chart shows it. This helps explain why mortgage demand has been down for 5 straight weeks to its lowest level since 1995. Interestingly, pending home sales fell the most in the South and in the Midwest by 7.3 and 7.6% respectively. However, they did climb 0.8% in the Northeast and 0.5% in the West. Unaffordability is clearly a thing here. And for context, I want people to understand that when you look at charts like the one that Haroon just brought up, all right, y'all, you wind up seeing a lot of volatility. And one of the things I can absolutely full-heartedly admit to is over the course of history, so far, home values over time have always risen over the broad strokes of history. Now, there's been some ups and downs and periods in between, and not all recessions are housing recessions. And in most times, if you take out the span of history over the human lifetime, let's say 100 years, generally speaking, home values always increase. If you were to go down to a period of 7 or 5 years, that isn't always the case. And there is a lot more volatility in that narrow period of time. I am worried that what we're seeing right now is indicative of something more, but I have no data to really support that.